This is TV47. Happy holidays.
Now, on 9th August 2022, Kenyans participated in one of the most competitive elections in the country's history, out to elect the president, the deputy president, county governors, senators, members of the county assemblies, as well as women representatives. A legal battle was then launched by Azimio One Kenya Coalition, challenging the election results. The Supreme Court on the 5th of September 2022 ruled to uphold the victory of William Ruto, who was officially sworn in as President of the Republic of Kenya. That is on the 13th of September 2022. Well, 3 days short to the 100 days of the Kenya Kwanza government, this has got to be the epitome of the country's political situation and the events that took center stage this year. And of course, we review of these events and more. Karibu sana. I am Linda Alela, and of course, we'll be having Honorable Jeremiah Kioni join us, as well as Honorable Philip Kisia and Dr. Barak Muluka for these very conversations. And we also ask for you to be part and parcel of it. The hashtag is Morning Cafe at Linda_Alela TV47KE. It's my pleasure to do this with you as we're looking forward to a great day and, most importantly, the end of the year. So it will be technically a review of the political games that have played out, of course, for the better part of the year, reminiscing on them. If not reminiscing, then just reviewing and remembering out of them what really has played out, on what we really need to do in terms of, just making adjustments so that we move forward, in a very hygienic and, sane political situation. So karibu sana as you join me, as of course you interact with us. But before we get to introduce the gentlemen that, of course, will be joining us shortly, we briefly take a look at some of the stories that have been prepared by my team. To this one that is being investigated upon, the suspect in the case of a 3-year-old child who was kidnapped and his eyes gouged out has been arrested. 28-year-old Alex Ochogo will be held in the Rioma police station for 5 days to allow investigations. And as our reporter Andrin Kilemi reports, the suspect, who is also a cousin to the baby, was seen escorting her mother, who is the main suspect, to a bus station where she boarded a bus and fled on the day Sagini was found dumped in a maize plantation.
Police officers in Kisii County have finally arrested the first suspect in the case of a 3-year-old child who was kidnapped and his eyes gouged out last week. Prosecutor Hilary Kaino filed an application to detain the suspect for 5 days to enable police officers to conclude investigations and to also arrest more suspects, including Ochogo's mother, who is the main suspect and who was last seen with baby Sagini before the baby mysteriously disappeared.
Wewe ni mmoja ya wale wengine ambao wanaweza kuchunguzwa kuhusiana na madai ya kwamba mlimsababishia mlalamishi ama mtoto yule ambaye anasemekana na miaka 3 majeraha ya kudumu kwa kuweza kuumizwa macho ambayo inasemekana yaliweza kutolewa.
Kaino told the court that Ochogo was seen escorting his mother to a bus station, who then fled to Nairobi on the day baby Sagini was found in a maize plantation.
Kabla ya usiku huo, wewe ambayo inasemekana kuwa ni cousin ya ule mtoto uliweza kuonekana ukiwa ama ukimpeleka yule mshukiwa mkuu kwenye eneo la kuabiri magari, na mshukiwa huyo anasemekana kwamba ameweza kutorokea sehemu za Nairobi.
The suspect is being held in custody and will be arraigned in court on the 23rd of December to know his fate as the court gives directions. Meanwhile, baby Sagini continues to recuperate at the Kisii Eye Hospital. Andrin Kilemi, TV 47.
And renowned rally driver Asad Khan was on Monday evening buried at the Kariakor Cemetery in Nairobi, hours after his family announced his death on Sunday evening. Asad's funeral service was held at Parklands Mosque, 3rd Parklands Road, followed by Asar prayers before his body was interred at the Muslim cemetery. TV47's Moigi William was keeping tabs with the story and has filed this report.
Rally driver Asad Khan, whose family announced his death on Sunday evening as he was fighting for his life at the high dependency unit at a hospital here in Nairobi, following an alleged domestic fight which led to the arrest of his girlfriend Maxine Wahome, also a rally driver, has this evening been laid to rest at the Kariakor Muslim Cemetery. Asad's burial was attended by a section of motorsport and rally fans led by rally legend Patrick Njiru, with the fraternity losing a major stakeholder.
It will be in the industry as well, and the rally fraternity. It's going to be a big loss, of course, and for the family more so, yeah, as well. Yeah, I think it's always very sad to lose somebody, and we just pray that the truth comes out. We're not pointing fingers at anybody at this stage, and we just pray that the truth comes out. Whatever really happened to him, we are waiting to see what the police investigations and the pathologists will come up with. And we'll let the law take its course after that.
Earlier, led by a government pathologist and representatives from Asad's and Wahome's family, a post-mortem was conducted, with the late's family stating it had limited knowledge of what transpired before Asad was hospitalized and later his death, hoping that the report will shed more light. Where later his body was taken to Parklands Mosque for a funeral service.
Very limited knowledge of what's happened so far. The only thing is we lost him yesterday at about 6:51 p.m. and we have representation. I believe the government pathologist is here, and we've also gotten our own pathologist, and I believe from the other party, that is from the girl's side, they also have a pathologist.
Khan died on Sunday evening, days after he was allegedly assaulted by his girlfriend and fellow rally driver Maxine. Police are still investigating the incident.
We are hoping from the post-mortem we'll be able to know maybe what transpired, because he's not there to talk to us or tell us what happened. So we don't know what really happened. From the time that he was collected from the scene and taken by neighbors to hospital, he's not spoken. He's not spoken. Yeah, he's just been, like, I think he lost a lot of blood. He's not spoken, unfortunately, yeah.
Maxine told police Khan was injured in altercation on December 12. She added he broke a window pane that injured him in the ankle as she hid at the balcony. Police plan to ask for directions from the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions on the way forward after the death of Khan. Initially, police were investigating a case of causing bodily harm against Maxine. Maxine was arraigned and freed on a 100,000 cash bail pending further probe. Asad has left behind 2 sons.
This is my brother again.
The final journey of Asad Khan coming to a halt here at Kariakor Muslim Cemetery. All eyes now shift to the investigating bodies to unravel on what transpired. Moigi William, TV47, Nairobi.
And at least 27 people have been admitted in 2 hospitals in Kericho after they consumed fermented milk, popularly known as Morsik, suspected to have been contaminated. One of them are receiving treatment at Kaplatet Hospital, while another group of 6 is at Leiten AIC Hospital. Many have been complaining of vomiting and abdominal pain after buying the milk in a local shop.
Sisi tulikunywa maziwa mala na tukaanza kukonjeka usiku na tukulala. Saa hii tunasikia mwili iko mbaya, lakini hata watoto saa hii wanakonjeka.
Asubuhi nilisikia ndugu yangu akiniamsha wakati alilalamika alikuwa na shida ya tumbo. Yeye peke yake ndiye aliweza kuamka na akaja akaniamsha. Wakati nilitoka asubuhi nikaendea dawa kidogo karibu kwa kliniki yenye iko karibu. Wakati nilirudi nikastukia mamangu na wenye walikuwa karibu majirani ndio wanalalamika kwa hiyo shida ya tumbo. Nikaulizia shida ilikuwa wapi, wakaniambia ya kwamba walienda jioni wakanunua maziwa mala.
This morning we received 21 patients from Cheboin village presenting with diarrhea, vomiting and abdominal pains. All the patients have been successfully managed, stabilized. They are admitted in the isolation ward. They are all stable. So I would want to take this opportunity to caution the public, especially during this festive season, to be careful in terms of food preparation and strictly maintain public health measures.
This morning we received 21 patients, 3 men, 8 women and 10 children who presented to the facility with complaints of vomiting, abdominal pains and diarrhea. We have managed to stabilize the patients, currently in stable condition, and we have dispatched our public health officers to the ground to try and find out what could possibly have been the cause of this.
Now, a special sitting to consider Meru Governor Bishop Kawira Mwangaza's impeachment motion passed in the Meru County Assembly last week will be held in the Senate today in the afternoon's special sitting. Part of the evidence, the Meru County Assembly will be presenting video clips allegedly showing the governor committing some of the offenses that led to her impeachment. Micah Gungu with that.
The fate of impeached Meru Governor Kawira Mwangaza will be known starting Tuesday when the senators holds a special sitting to consider a motion passed by Meru County Assembly members on Wednesday last week. Senate Speaker Amason Jaffa Kingi, in a notice through the Kenyan Gazette, said the special sitting comes on the backdrop of a request by Majority Leader Aaron Cheriot. According to Section 33(3) of the County Government Act, a special sitting to consider impeachment of a governor must be called within 7 days after Senate Speaker receives the motion from County Assembly Speaker. Mwangaza was impeached after 67 out of 69 MCAs voted in favor of motion tabled by Abogeta West MCA Dennis Kiogora on November 22, 2022. Kiago MCA Simon Kiambi, who opposed the motion, was punished by UDA MCAs through removal from all Meru County Assembly committees. MCAs have enlisted video clips obtained from live broadcast of a TV station based in Meru as evidence. Kiogora, who is the leader of minority in the Embu County Assembly, accuses the governor of bias, unlawful appointments, unlawful job dismissals, and negative campaign against fellow leaders, among other ills. Other accusations range from forceful entry into the county assembly premises and going against the laws on public finance management. Meanwhile, the Council of Governors has castigated Meru County legislators for stemming up the push and pull between them and Governor Kawira even before she performs her duties as the governor.
It's not logical to impeach a governor even before she has laid the foundation of her government. That you don't like a person or the way they speak, it's not a reason.
So this is what we're also saying as governors. Can there be a law that governs within which period you can reasonably have been said to have had, broken the law to the extent of impeachment?
If a special sitting expected to be formed by the Senate finds the allegations as lacking in merit, they will be thrown out. If not, senators will be given a chance to vote on the matter after the governor has been given an opportunity to defend herself. In case the allegations are dismissed, an MCA can only file another impeachment motion after 3 months from the day when senators vote the current motion. Mike Kagwango, TV 47, Nairobi.
Well, and from the epitome of all the political events, that is the 9th August general election, We review on some of the activities that have played out politically in the country. That very story also kickstarts our conversation this morning as we just take a look at what then is left of a devolution, because technically it has also been a conversation that is there. While many argue that devolution has to be maintained, there's still some bit of hits and misses that really need to be addressed so that we get it right, so that we proceed with devolution. And therefore, as we get into this conversation, it will be my humble request that you're part and parcel of it. The hashtag is Morning Cafe at Linda_Lela TV47KE. That is how you get to interact with us, as we'll be sampling some of your comments as we continue with the broadcast. And the gentlemen, as earlier mentioned, are already set for us to be a very, very important conversation. And therefore, I ask for you to again join us. We have Honorable Jeremiah Kioni, who's the Secretary General of Jubilee Party. Mheshimiwa, how have you been?
Fine, thank you.
Karibu
Thank
sana.
you. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Thank
Happy
you
to
for
be here.
creating
It's been
time.
a while. And to see my old friends.
Your old friends, one of them said that he is...
They are getting younger.
Are they? Well, maybe because you say they are your old friends, so you could be knowing them better.
Yes.
Yes. And Dr. Barak Muluka, how are you?
I'm fine.
Dr. Barak Muluka is a communications strategist. Asante sana for creating time. How have you been?
Going strong as usual.
And younger, as Mheshimiwa would put it.
He says so.
You can trust him, I think.
Says
Yeah?
so, then I think he
Who are
does.
you to say no?
Yeah, who am I? And my younger brother is here. He will confirm or disavow.
It's been a minute since you've been here as well. How are things?
You know, it's a rolling stone that gathers no moss.
Yes.
You must take a break, reflect, allow other people to cogitate, to ventilate,
right,
and then you can also come back.
And the last time you were here, it wasn't so clear whether you were supporting the current government or the Team Azimio. Now that, you know, the election is water under the bridge, are you happy with the current government?
You see, I remain in the same position. Governments come and find me in that position, depending on what they do. I may agree with them today, disagree with them tomorrow. I remain marble constant.
Shortly, we get to know whether you agree with how the current government has managed, you know, its activities so far. Close to 100 days to it, and we ask ourselves, are we on the right track? Some of the promises they made, you know, they said we are going to achieve this in 100. They have managed to at least achieve, others they haven't. Just what next? But then before that, the former town clerk of Nairobi, as well governance and leadership expert, Mheshimiwa Philip Kisia. How have you been?
Well, I'm good. Maybe not better like my older brother Barak. I'll talk to him when we leave the studio.
So he would tell you, give
so
you
I can
tips,
get some hints. Maybe I'll be better off in 2023.
He's promised to buy tea this morning.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so I'll be sparing on the cafe.
Are you people going to invite Mheshimiwa? I promised to buy him tea, but from the look of things, they're going to save me, right?
They want to keep me away.
He's a party hawk. We should buy it.
Yeah? Speaking of which, I think I'll ask him this. Speculations or allegations, or it's a reality that President or former President Uhuru Kenyatta had intentions of, you know, resigning as the chairperson for Azimio. Still there, still not? What is going on?
That's a discussion we have not had with him.
Yeah.
And it's an issue that I would rather he does comment on himself directly. So I will not pretend to be privy to any of his thoughts and or decisions, because none has been communicated or have been communicated to the either Jubilee Party or where he is our party leader, or the Azimio, where he is the chairman of the council.
All right.
But up to this morning, he is still the chairman of Azimio and the party leader of Jubilee, and I will want to leave it at that. And want to
the laws dictate that he should resign, or it is in order for
it's
him
a choice that you will have to make.
It's a choice that you have to make.
You'll have to make.
Between what and what?
And that is whether to continue serving as a political leader in the institutions that you have mentioned or not. And again, that is also a freedom that we would rather allow him to exercise because it is allowed of him by the Constitution and also by the statute.
Will it in any way affect his allowances as former president? Or?
We have the former Prime Minister and also the former Vice President who have
Kalonzo Musyoka.
Kalonzo Musyoka, and there's nothing new in it. So these are areas that have been charted before.
Okay.
And we will allow him to again indicate the direction that he would want us to take.
Okay.
He himself will take, and then we can then decide what to do.
All right, then we'll take the news that was making rounds as mere allegations.
Yeah.
Okay, asante sana. Gentlemen, perhaps to begin with this conversation, and I mean there's so much, ours is to look at what has played out.
You don't want us to
comment on that? Proceed, Dr. Barak.
Because it
Proceed.
touches upon us.
Yes.
Because we are talking about our former
president, yeah.
We are also talking about establishing certain traditions in leadership. Elsewhere in advanced democracies, when you vacate that space and you have served your constitutional term limit, you vacate the space and allow other trees to grow in that area. Allow fresh talent, allow fresh leadership that could grow both the party and the alliance if it survives, so that in the future you have people who have been properly nurtured within the entities and they offer alternative leadership. It would be good not just for President Uhuru Kenyatta, but also for other leaders. Indeed, I think that leaders like former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, Musyoka, Kalonzo Musyoka, they ought to also cede that space for new people to come in and try to take the country into the future.
Right. And I think just picking it up from what Dr. Barak says, it is ironical to see some of these leaders, as well castigating those ones that have stayed in power for a long time. And this perhaps looking at our neighbors, the likes of Museveni, the likes of Biya, likes of Buhari not so long, and Bongo on the other side. And people have been saying, why is it that we will have these figures that are presidents who want to be there for life? But the irony of it all is that there are even opposition leaders that literally want to be opposition leaders for life. So in this very case, would it be in order for President Uhuru Kenyatta perhaps to reconsider his stand and maybe say somebody else should take up this?
Well, you see, first of all, I don't think political leadership has an age limit.
Okay.
So long as somebody is able to serve and the people he's serving think that he or she is suitable, it is the people to decide.
Yeah.
Okay? But from a personal level, I think when you've given your best, you should always be able to transit and allow others below you to also grow. So it's a matter of personal choice. I see nothing wrong in the former president, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, in continuing to shepherd his political coalition and political party. My elder brother Barak talked about advanced jurisdictions, but America is the most advanced of all nations in the world.
Yes.
And yet, our very own son, Barack, not you, Barack Obama, Barack Obama is still around. And in fact, is campaigning very hard for the election of Biden.
I'll give you a
Russia. Russia is a very, very advanced, jurisdiction.
Yeah.
I said democracy.
Almost. Yeah, Russia is a democracy. And you can't get a better democracy than in the US. But Putney is an advanced democracy. It's an advanced nation.
Yeah.
And Putney is still there. He's still putting in.
Yeah.
So I think I'd rather that we leave it to personal conscience.
Right.
That you think that my time is out. You look at the curve, you know, the PLC, product life cycle. And when you get to the peak, you know, you opt out before you're pushed out.
You know, I hoped that we would talk about Kawira Mwangaza's, you know, first, because that was the last story we played. But in this case, I think we're going to the conversation of politics, you know, the coalitions that we have today. And now that you speak of whether the alliance would hold, we will ask Honorable Jeremiah Kioni to tell us what then is the position of the alliance as of now. That is the Azimio One Kenya Alliance. And just generally, whether then beyond the aspect of age, beyond the conversation that the Right Honorable Raila Odinga has danced enough and perhaps should be out of the stage, they maintain that they're going to support him.
I think, again, maybe a debate that I enjoy listening more than
But why? You're part and parcel of this.
Let me just say this in hindsight. One is that the provision in law that tells you must stop doing this for you to do this, I think is unconstitutional. And I believe that at any given time when it will be subjected to a constitutional court, it will be found as such. Two is that some, and we can see a few of these provisions in our statutes haunting us. Some of these provisions we put in our statutes and also in the Constitution, then while meant to deal with personalities who are perhaps in offices that time, whom we may have thought weighed on issues perhaps more heavily than then. But when you look at it now, it is there are things that might need to be looked afresh, and not just that particular issue. Quite a number of even amendments that are being proposed. I've just seen a statement here by somebody attributed to Miri Othiambo as to why did we oppose a given provision in the Constitution, or why did ODM oppose provisions that we had in the Constitution when we were at Naivasha. And it was based with more of it, there was a lot of suspicion between the negotiating parties. And unfortunately, those issues informed some of the provisions we have in law. And I hope that as we go on and we mature in democracy, some of these issues will find their space. And I like my colleague has given examples of world over of readers who are still helping shape the issues in their own countries for various reasons. And again, a debate that can continue forever. But you ask about the Azimio coalition. I tell you, Azimio coalition is still intact. We in Jubilee are in Azimio, and I would want to tell you that those clerks are imaginary, just like those.
Is it?
Those I can see you have drawn the map of the world with many lines and what.
They would appear as though they are cracks, but they are not.
They appear like cracks on that wall, but they are not cracks. It's the same thing about Azimio. We are in it, and we are in agreement on what we are doing. We engage in debates on issues that we think should be looked at differently. Remember that it's a coalition of parties with different ideologies, and approach to issues will from time to time be agreed upon. And when we have a view on an issue does not mean that we are out of the coalition. And I can tell you that it's a very nice place to be in, and we are happy with the discussions that have been going on. Disagreements have been there. Reasons to be unhappy for one reason or another is there, and that's normal in relationships. So maybe it's a debate that people can entertain themselves with, but the statement is that Azimio is going to be there, And we are going to hold together.
All right, interesting.
Longer than people may desire.
Barack, I do not know whether it will be in order for us to revisit some of the past events, but then politically, I think then we're left with no choice. That the very same Jeremiah Kioni, perhaps at some point, says, you know, Jubilee is intact. Yes, you can be rest assured that the ruling party is on course. Yes, therein we differ politically, but that does not mean that we are not intact. And then before we know it, there's one faction of the Jubilee that is categorical, that we're just there body-wise, but you know, mind-wise, everything else, we are on the other side. Can we confidently say that, you know, whatever it is that the SG of Jubilee Party, that is one of the parties that sits under Azimio One Kenya Alliance, then is genuine?
No,
yes.
I don't want to appear to hit below the belt, but as I grow older, I get to appreciate each day that there's a clear demarcation line between the professional pundits and the wishful thinkers.
Yeah.
And the wishful thinkers express their wishes in spite of the grain of reality. And even when they are running into headwinds, they try to deny that they are running into headwinds. And you know, Mheshimiwa Jeremiah Kioni would first of all want to know that to listen is already to participate in a conversation. Whether you lift your mouth to say anything or not is neither here nor there. The very fact that you are listening.
Maybe not lifting the mouth,
opening. Not lifting, but opening.
There may be those who lift their mouth.
In the manner of speaking, you can lift your mouth, but we will go into those images at a later time. Jubilee is there. And even Azimio is there.
Yeah.
It is also possible to be there even when you are on life support. It's until such a moment that life support has been removed and you pack up completely to be taken to the land without thunder that we then say you are no longer there. We can review your health quotient and see where you are resting, and to see how strong you are. And my brother Philip Kisia here mentions people like Putin in Russia. Russia is not a democracy, it is a kakistocracy. Yeah? And Vladimir Putin is the leader of a kakistocracy. A dispensation where some of the worst elements of society possible, not just within that environment, but globally, are in charge. Then we also want to point out, Linda, that it is not somebody's age which is under assault. It is the fact that you have attempted so many times and that you need to cede the space to somebody else. The other night we were watching the World Cup football and we saw the young gentleman called Mbappe, I think that was his name. I'm not very good with these things of football.
Yeah, it's Mbappe.
But I think that was his name. And he was...
It is still his name.
It has not changed.
Was on that night.
Yeah. We don't even know whom he's referring to. Let's wait.
Philip Kisia, I can take you to the language class.
No. Come on, proceed.
And teach you
proceed.
It was this one.
Grammar. So that was his name.
Okay.
Yeah. Mbappe, he was very good with penalties, and I think he took a number of them and converted. But when it came to taking the last 5 penalties, they gave him only 1, yeah, and allowed the other fellows to also attempt. You cannot take the first, the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth. The 5th. And then now you are even saying you want to take the 6th. You cede that space to other people and also try. When you try once, you fail. We say maybe bad luck. You try a second time, we say what is happening. You tried the third time, we start doubting you. In fact, that's the point at which you ought to make space. And it is good tradition, it is good practice. And when you are President Uhuru Kenyatta, and you have been there, and you have been very good in your own way, because I think those around him must see that he has been very good. You also allow other people. If you go to my home in Emanyuria today, my father, who is turning 90, will tell you, talk to these young people. And even I'm starting to say, talk to my sons and daughters. And I would encourage Philip to go the same direction, and my brother, the SG.
Well, you do not deprive the people the opportunity as well to serve and equally to be served by some of these individuals. That is what Philip then says. Philip, my assumption is that you're still part and parcel of Azimio?
Why not?
Oh, okay. Well, so you hold?
Why not?
Do you? Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, you see, Linda.
Barack would love to say something so you can respond.
It's masochistic.
You see,
when you enjoy pain.
You know this fellow.
Is it so painful? Is it so painful? And I think we also want to come to that.
Linda, listen.
Yes.
You know, I am not in the category, and I don't want to mention names here, of people who believe in Tumbo policy.
Okay.
I don't know about Tumbo policy, but you can look at him and look at me, and then we can decide who has Tumbo.
No, because the guy is starving, but I'll take care of him. He's starving.
Okay.
He's starving, and yet he's in government. I don't know what's happening. This guy needs to be.
Oh, he's in government.
He's starving.
He's in government.
And he's starving.
Is he in government?
It's bad manners to serve when you're in government. See, this country needs to get to a situation where you don't just jump ship because your house is leaking. You should get to a point where you start fixing your house, make it better than your neighbor's house. This country needs to stop getting into the habit of burying other people's wives just because you've not taken care of your wife. Okay? So I still believe that every Kenyan has a role to play now that we have government that is exercising power for the time being. Whether you are in or out, you have your space. So you don't have to be in to contribute towards the economic development of this country, economic or social development. You can be anywhere, because at the end of the day, we all cannot fit in government. Not all of us. Barack is in government. He has not told us what he's doing in government, but he's in government. But, so be it. Those of us who are out, some of us can teach them something. Those who are in, he can teach me grammar, I can teach him many issues on management. So the point I'm making is that we all have a role we can play to contribute towards the greater development of this nation and the world at large. So I think I would want to end there because we've consumed. I thought we'd spend some time looking at 100 days.
Hold it right there. We're going to come to that.
And maybe
you need not to worry. You see, we are looking at all this. It's very important.
And devolution.
Yeah, and all
so
that.
Barack does not run away from weighty matters.
And I don't want us to close that matter.
I just want to a little bit, maybe has forgotten, but those of us who exercise management, we focus on performance management. So I was really keen on engaging on that matter.
And we're coming to that. We're coming to that, but not before Honorable Jeremiah.
These are areas that
on this very matter. On this very matter.
Under the collar.
We're not running away from it. You have to respond. And when Barack says it's an aspect of machismo to literally exaggerate, that feel that you're confident to appear as though it's all good, but in real sense it has. And it's in order for it to hurt, because everybody was forming a coalition, was having these conversations for purposes of winning, and therefore if you do not win, it will boost you.
I honestly, one is that I listened to the player that he conducted like a good bishop of a church somewhere, and he was playing on the death of Jubilee. Jubilee and Azimio, I don't understand why you'd want the institutions dead. One. Two, because as Kisia says, they are useful to the well-being.
To the well-being of the nation, okay.
It is good manners to ensure that these institutions survive. Unless if you are in government and you do not want any questioning, you are fearful of any other person who seeing things from a different perspective. I enjoy when I see people giving you that other angle, because you become better. And when you have the responsibility of managing the country, you are better off when you are told that what you promised you have not delivered. If perhaps you will have forgotten, you are reminded. But let me also say this. Again, I want to say it again. We in Azimio are intact. Certainly the individuals who were enticed at the beginning of the 100 days by the government of the day. And we lost a party like UDM, and they chose to move, which is again within their right. Of course, there is the provisions in the agreements and the rest, and the matters are before the courts and the rest. There are also individuals who moved over to Karen that time, and some to State House. They had photo sessions and the rest, and that will continue. But just some advice, if you would want to decamp from Azimio, I think your value is diminished. Like again, Kisia says, there are very many people who may have played a better role than yourself in bringing Kenya Kwanza to power, and they are still waiting for something to do. And if you think that you can jump the queue because you are from Jubilee or from ODM, from Wiper, you could easily be deceiving yourself. But that doesn't mean that you don't make that choice. The choice is still yours. But the institutions are still intact. The moving of 1, 2, 3 individuals from one side to the other does not mean that that is the end of the institution. And when I speak on behalf of Jubilee as an institution, and I can tell you we remain faithful to the agreements that were signed by our party leaders, and we remain committed to the goals, the aspirations, and we continue consulting. I can tell you that even after I leave this place, we will be meeting the party leader of Azimio, Raila Amolo Odinga again, so that I can get to benefit from his counsel and also understand some of the issues and how he would want us to manage or to deal with some issues that are before us. So, and that doesn't stop those who wish us death to continue doing so, but that will not bring death to us. Your wishes can remain your wishes. And again, constitutional right for you to think as such.
Okay, all the best.
And I can tell you once again that we are keenly looking at the space, and we are going to be saying a couple of things in the coming days. And perhaps that is what is making uncomfortable those who are in government. Yes.
It will be healthy criticism?
Of course.
Healthy criticism.
And nothing personal.
Okay, and we're coming
just
to that.
Good of the nation.
Yes. Dr. Barak, I will go by what it is that you say. Overlook what Philip says, that you are part and parcel of governments. And so as we speak of the hits and misses, if you would want to call them that, of the Kenya Kwanza government, perhaps just to look at some of the things that they had promised for the 100 days, what they have achieved so far, what they have achieved that was not part of the 100 days timeline, and so much more. Some of the papers detail some of these things. Like the Daily Nation speaks of, it's a mixed scorecard as Kenya Kwanza clocks around 100 days in power on Thursday, with reality dawning on Kenyans that they will wait longer for the president to honor some of his pledges. We begin to audit, and of course that's exactly what we are here for this morning as well. They highlight some of the things that have been achieved so far, some that have not, some that have halfway been achieved. Friend sends me, some of the things that they have looked into. We also have a list that we are prepared on this very bit. Before we got into the nitty-gritty details, your take on Kenya Kwanza's performance 100 days to it?
First of all, for avoidance of doubt, I'm sure I have not been invited here as a government spokesperson.
Of course, no.
And I don't speak for the government.
Yes.
That would be to be an impositor. Those who speak for the government are there, they are known. If this government opens up a space,
don't forget me,
and that they have seen a role that I can play, and my credentials lend themselves to that kind of assignment, I will take it up. For the time being, I am offering some consultants services to various areas of this government. I did before, even the one that was there, and the Kibaki one, and the Moi one. The only one which I never advised was the Kenyatta one, Jomo Kenyatta, because I was still in school. And probably I will advise other governments in the future. If they say, Barack, in fact, we need you to just come and be in government here, I will not shy away from that. It's part of the constitutional rights that they are talking about. But also to build a person of straw and attack, instead of attacking the subject before us, is the ban of debate. Let us debate the issues. When you say that somebody is on life support, you're not wishing them death. In fact, you could be saying they're on life support because you really wish them well, and you are wondering what more could be done to help them to recover and come back robustly into life. So the Azmios are on life support. And Jeremiah Kioni by now should have learned from the grain of history that when he comes here, he should listen to the things I tell him. When I told him things about BBI, he didn't listen. He knows what happened. When I told him about the elections that we did in August, he didn't listen. He knows what happened. When I told him about the things that were going to the Supreme Court, he didn't listen. He knows what happened. And I'm now telling him that he had better start thinking about the future. The opposition can never be killed. The opposition is a spirit, Linda. Even when Jomo Kenyatta, Tom Mboya, and Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, at some point, Charles Njonjo, Mwai Kibaki, they tried to kill the opposition by making Kenya a one-party state. They very quickly found that some of them emerged now as the opposition. In fact, Jaramogi did not know how he transformed from being a Jomo Kenyatta #1 loyalist to being the leader of the opposition for the rest of his life. So you can never kill the opposition. It is a spirit, and it will always find a place to incubate and to live and to thrive, even in one-party states. And I pray that we never go back to one-party states. This government, 100 days, you have got to look at it from at least 2 vantage points. First, I have never understood the notion of 100 days. Why 100 days? It seems to be the copycat syndrome, where because there are other democracies where they are saying 100 days, then we are also saying 100 days.
But even when they campaign, they say in 100 days.
It doesn't matter whether they say it or didn't say. I'm speaking as Barack. And I've made it very clear that I'm not speaking for
the government.
For anybody.
Yes.
I'm speaking as a public intellectual, as myself. And this copycat practice that African countries have embraced, it takes almost 100 days to form government in Africa. The principal secretaries got in office only a week or 2 weeks ago. So at what point do you begin counting 100 days? You cannot start comparing this dispensation, say, to that of the United Kingdom, where you get in office today and within 10 days, the government is formed, it's in place, it is going. You can now start counting days on the basis of the promissory pronouncements that you have made that within 100 days we will do the following. But on quick thinking, because the audience must be told I was not prepared to talk about the 100 days, but on very quick thinking on my feet, I can look at a number of sectors. I can look at the judiciary, and I would say that yes, they said they would appoint the 6 judges. They did so on day 1. I can say also that when I look at the judiciary, they said they would operationalize the judiciary fund. They have done so. They said that they would employ more judges. They have done so. They said that they were going to give, now looking broadly within that context of law, the police force more latitude, more independence. They have done so. Then you can look at agriculture, where they said they would do something about farm inputs. They have done so. You could look at education, where they said they would review the CBC. I think there's a task force. I don't know when it is coming back to report. They said that they would do something about the digital economy. I think now emphasis is right there. We are talking of a Ministry of Information, Communication, and the digital economy. We are seeing them launching public hotspots that are government funded everywhere. They said something about the Hustler Fund. They have launched it. We are waiting to see how well it works or it doesn't work. They have said that the next phase is coming in February. We watch and wait. And I think I could go on and on. If I was sufficiently prepared, I would name a number of other sectors. But I think that the whole notion of 100 days doesn't make sense to me, particularly not in this context where you are spending a quarter of the year, 3 months, forming government. It doesn't make sense.
Philip.
Wow, Dr. Moluka. You know, 100 days is a management tool. It's not a copy paste. You know, it's a tool found in management. And why is it important? Because in management, we do believe very strongly that the biggest resource a human being has is called minutes. Minutes, which is time. And therefore, 100 days is a lot of time. In fact, 1 day is a lot of time, because time, it is the most perishable resource that a human being has in terms of deployment to do anything. And once you've lost a minute, you can never recover. You cannot store time somewhere. And that's why 100 days is something in management that is taken extremely seriously. Okay? Now, you know, when you take over an institution, you set your objectives. You have your goal, you have objectives, and you have a strategy on how you will deliver the promises made or the objectives that you've set. And every objective is time-bound. You say that this particular item will be delivered within this time. So there's nothing wrong in setting time and fixing it to a particular objective. Okay, so they did the right thing. Let us give them credit that at least they thought of doing something within 100 days. But
they have done something within these 100 days.
As Baraka said, yes, there are things I've achieved. But again, as a manager, you look at the things that have been set and you assign them a weight. You say that this particular item, in terms of weighting, I can only give it 5 out of 100. But this particular item, because of the implication it has on the social economic need of the people, I give it a bigger weight. So yes, if I was to give, for example, our government a score on some of the things that have been achieved, I'll give them 100%, and I'll give them excellent. But in terms of the weighting, it has a very
priorities.
Small, no weighting, just weighting.
Weightage, all right.
Let me just pick one that Barack has mentioned. In fact, if you look at the 11 bullet point that Kenya Kwanza came up with, they talk of reforming the justice or judiciary, DCI, NPS, ESCC, AG's office, and so on and so forth. Now, appointment of people to those offices is not part of reforms. Okay. You can't say that you reformed by replacing A with B. Institutional reforms is deep. You look at the operations of an organization. You look at the mandate, and you say, what do I need to do? Do I need to put in a new engine? What resources do I need to put in to enable that particular institution function properly? And again, this I know, and maybe our brother Mheshimiwa Kioni can tell us, these are independent bodies. You as the executive cannot reform them. You can facilitate those institutions because they're independent to reform.
And has that not been?
That has not been done. But let me, I was just looking, I'm interrogating the 11 bullet point. Then there's another one, again, which is a soft target. The deputy president's performance contract is a soft target, because even me, I can do in less than a day to prepare a performance contract for my deputy. But the point is, we don't know what is contained in that performance contract. Does it include what I'm seeing happening? I don't know. Because if I knew what is contained in that performance contract, I'd be able to...
Of what importance in comparison to the points that were highlighted were the duties of...
Actually, it is number 7 on their promises.
Hence my question.
For me, I'm telling you, it's less important.
Okay.
But then appointment of women to cabinet, 50%. Again, let's be fair here. Actually, President William Ruto has done better than the previous administrations.
In terms of appointment?
In terms of appointing women to cabinet. But in management, we go back and say, what did you sign for? You signed for 50%. So if I were to give him a score, I'll probably give him a B-. But let's get to weighty matters. Matters that really...
Allow us to take a short break. Let's come back to those weighty matters after the short break.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
You are watching TV 47, the home of untold stories. are watching TV 47, the home of untold stories.
In studio, Honorable Philip Kesia, Honorable Jeremiah Kioni, and Dr. Barak Muluka. Do we take it away from you briefly and then we come back?
No, just let me just end by saying that maybe some magic will happen because I still have a few days to go to 100 days.
Okay.
But the weighty matters.
Yeah.
Weighty was one, lowering of fuel and unga cost. That is, for me, that takes 50% of the score, okay? Because that's weighty. The other things like they mentioned, like automating government and revenue collection. I don't even know how it was possible to do that in 100 days because it's an item that must be procured. So if you have to go through the cycle of procuring that particular arrangement for the entire government, it has to be budgeted for. You know, you can't just wake up and say, we are automated. It's a process. But I'm still waiting for the magic to happen. I don't know. Well, let us give them time. Let's not be impatient. There are still a few more days to go. Magic, you know, abracadabra can happen, and you know, let's wait.
Well, we all know
let's
that this abracadabra thing will not happen, Mheshimiwa Jeremiah Kioni, and we have seen your side of coalition castigating them even before we were at 50 days or any other day, and they have claimed that it was not all rosy when they got into power, and we know that that is possible because of the flaws of the previous government, if not governments. Then what do we expect of them, and what does it speak of the current government in terms of delivering for the people of Kenya, even in future? Because time comes when we will now say we won't listen to all these stories of, or we inherited a broke government, or this is what Jubilee did that has got us here. I guess we get to that space where now we want to see this government in action. Is 100 days, you know, a little bit too early for us to start throwing these jabs?
One, I think it is good to always take responsibility and, you know, accept. If you are working for TV 47, you cannot then come here and tell us that you are interviewing us as reader, not as part of TV 47. So if you are working or you are consulting for Kenya Kwanza, you cannot come here and tell us that you are not part of that government. And you can stand and say that you can criticize the same government that is feeding you, even if it's for 2 days. Two is that it's true, the Bishop Doctor Muruka.
No,
we had debate.
He's just Dr. Muruka, not a bishop.
That's a title I'm giving. Look at even the.
Is it not?
I take it.
He rejects the title.
I take it back.
You take it back, and I defend him. Yes, I protect him. Yes.
And many of us in politics say that when we finish politics, we want to go and preach. So he is not in politics, so I take it back. But what I wanted to say is that it's true we have had debates on BBI, and the government that he is now consulting for has again brought back BBI. They can call it Barak Muruka Constitution Amendment Bill, they can call it whichever other name, but we will be looking at the content.
Do not hit so hard, because he will come back.
And I can tell you from the look of things, the same issues we debated with him are the same issues I see being canvassed for now. And again, I hope they don't follow the same route that we followed, that which was that the President Uhuru initiated the process. I see William having done a letter again, initiating the process again himself. We want the amendments that were proposed and are being proposed now carried through because they are good for the nation. But it is not good for us to go through the same pitfalls that we may have gone through. Yes, we debated about elections. I don't think it is an issue that you know, he mentioned
Mheshimiwa, and we're going to get to that,
yes,
but you have not given me your view on
I am coming there,
okay.
but you know, I can't let him go with this.
He will not let go.
Statements.
He will not go because we have to.
He said we discuss elections. The outcome of the elections, I'm certain it is not anything that he would want us to get into today. To me, it's a steal, and we'll be dealing with it as Azimio in the coming days. The issues of Supreme Court, again, I am sure that as a scholar, he is not certainly happy with the hot air and chasing wild goose here and there. Coming to the 100 days, what I have seen is really, the government has achieved a lot in capturing institutions. They started by capturing the church. The institution that would have talked for the voiceless now is quiet, even as Kenyans continue wallowing in difficulties.
Even when there's no reason for them to speak, you expect for them to speak?
I hope there is no reason. I think there is a reason.
Okay.
If you talk about IEBC, what is it that we are seeing? Mm-hmm. It's a capture of the institution that is supposed to be holding this country together. Out goes the four commissioners. You're left with 3 that are also not, the other side is not comfortable with. Mm-hmm. You come up with a new law that gives you even more powers to have commissioners in office. So what is going to be born out of that exercise?
Have they not followed the legal process?
They may have followed the legal process.
And why do you assume then?
No, I'm just saying.
Right, all right, proceed.
We'll be giving you more details in these areas. I don't want to talk too much about it because these are areas that you get quite a bit from our Azimio reader. Mm-hmm. But you can actually see that process. And remember where we started 1997 and before. IPPG, this is an institution that has costed people's lives to get to where we are. You may be following the law, but if you avoid knowing where we've come from and you start tampering with it, because you're in power, you can amend the law, you can bring in new commissioners, a new selection panel, you are setting us for failure as a country. Mm-hmm. Kisi has talked about the issues of fuel. Instead, he said, by the time I place the Bible on the table, the cost of unga will have come down, the cost of fuel will have come down, the cost of living will have come down. All those things are on an upward. And why? Because you again said they are not influenced by issues outside the government of the day, Jubilee. They are issues that are influenced by the poor management of Jubilee. And when you are looking for power, you look for power to do things better than others. So we in Jubilee are happy to, when Kenya Kwanza is having the opportunity of doing the things in a better way than we were doing them before. And that's not it's for that reason that you look for power and you campaign to say, we are going to make things better. And that should always be the drive. But when you say it's because these people mismanaged it, then we actually want to see that better performance even earlier than the 100 days. And again, the 100 days, you cannot again come and promise us that you're going to do another 100 days. When you picked on the 100 days, you were in this country. Wewe unaelewa Kenya. Wewe hapana mgeni na ni wewe mwenyewe ulisema. Unajua vile siasa yetu inaenda, so you cannot now come back and say 100 days is a short period. Again, it is a management tool. You give yourself those targets because you think you can deliver on them. But many things that matter. You took away kazi kwa vijana. You took away, where is the cash transfer?
And replaced it with something better, they say.
Yes, and where is it? Where is it? People have suffered during that time. You removed away that cash circulation within among the poor. Where is the Leader Mama?
But just how programs? Sustainable was kazi kwa vijana?
It may not have been.
And again, it was more or less like a cushion during the COVID-19 time. So whether it's this government or the previous government, perhaps at some point it would have been.
You took away the cash transfer. Where is it for these old people? For the last X number of months. Yes, where is the NHIF cover for the police before they could go to hospitals in Aga Khan, Nairobi Hospital? Today, they can only go to government facilities. Where is the employment? Where is the increments of 50% salaries for the police, which was again promised within that same time? an employment of 300,000 teachers. I see we are doing 30,000.
And a declaration already made, and as Philip would tell you, that some of this declaration made, it's the order that is needed. But then again, you do not implement these ones almost immediately. And therefore,
why would you then lie to Kenyans that you're going to do it within 100 days? I mean, it is common sense. Some of these things cannot be achieved within 100 days. And leadership has a lot to do with honesty and integrity.
Don't you think as well it's common sense for Kenyans to understand that it's
when you come and lie to Kenyans, you have the responsibility of telling the truth as a leader. So when you come and lie to Kenyans, you are going to do all these things within 100 days. You are making it's because the others failed to do it within the X number of years that they were there. We have this thing, and we must commend them for the fund that is there, the Hustler Fund. But really, you and I would be lying to Kenyans if you are not wondering, how is this thing being managed? Is it not just Furiza that has been reintroduced?
Where is the money coming from?
Where is the money coming from? Which is the board behind it? Where did we get any budgetary allocation? All these things are things that we want put on the table, because we don't want to treat Kenyans to another posse or pyramid thing. Kenyans have gone through some very, very horrible loss making or losing of little catch that they have, because they have been promised quick gains. And we can go on and on and on, and I tell you what they have achieved in doing within 100 days, and we'll be giving this a comprehensive thing, is capture. If you know capture of institution, if you know what is happening,
allow us to loop in. Just a second, we're coming to you, Barack.
By the way, let me tell you,
we're coming to you, Dr.
Barack. Even when you are speaking, we get agitated, but we are able to contain ourselves.
For 25 minutes.
We're coming to you, Dr.
I wish you knew we listened to you for 40 minutes.
Can we allow him to come in?
I have to finish.
Make it very brief.
Yes.
Yes. In less
when
than
you talk about TSC, yes, they are recruiting, but you should know what is happening this time around, and that has never happened since we got our new constitution. Members of Parliament are calling all those unemployed teachers together. Come, give me your details.
Apply.
They have taken over this issue politically, and we removed it from politics so that we can allow merit to apply, so that we do not have communities or those areas that are favorable to the politicians of the day being favored against those that may be viewed as opposition. This is a very dangerous reintroduction of nepotism that is coming, tribalism, regional imbalances, and it's very easy to bring it in a very subtle manner.
Let's cut that.
So I think it is very important.
Yes,
look at even the issue of banning bars.
We'll come to that. We still have time to discuss all that. Let's allow Barack as well say something.
We have a lot of alcohol.
And Barack, you say that good intentions become bad when not fulfilled. Is this a classic example of that?
You see, I have said, and nobody can take away my rights to speak as Barack, to think for myself, and to articulate issues as Barack. You cannot take that away. I will also ignore the snide remarks of bitter losers. I appreciate where they are. They are smarting under the pain of defeat, and therefore it is my duty and responsibility to be sympathetic and to understand where they are coming from when they start attacking me instead of attacking the subject.
There goes the bishop.
And it's okay.
Let's have some order, yes.
Call me a bishop. My grandfather, the late Samuel Mluka, was already in the church orders in 1906 when he went to the Maseno school under J.J. Willis, and therefore I belong to that Levite family. Before some people had anything about school or education. So you can call me a bishop. It's okay, we are within the ecclesiastical.
Let's proceed.
Ecclesiastical orders.
Yes.
I stated clearly that the notion of 100 days is unworkable in an environment in which up to day 80-something, the government is not yet formed. And it doesn't matter whether it is this government of William Ruto, the one of Uhuru Kenyatta before it, or if he ever has any chance to form government in the future, which I doubt, of Raila Odinga, 100 days will not work. Within that period, you must allow those who want to pursue the routes of litigation to checkmate you, to have their day and to have their say. And we agree that principal secretaries were sworn in only 2 weeks ago. These are the principal accounting officers in any government in this country. And to be able to go into the future to fulfill your election promises, which in my view were lists, schedules of wishful thinking, some statements of intent, just like they were on the other side, it is almost impractical.
The offices heard the previous PS is still on. Does that,
that is not the Ruto government.
Okay.
The Ruto government is now fully constituted.
So we could start counting 100 from that
From that moment,
okay.
I propose that that is how it ought to be done. However, they said that they would start the moment the Bible came down, and I've been able, off the top of my head, to list a few spaces here and there. But I think we go into frivolous spaces when we are talking about, oh, this one here, they didn't do within 100 days, they lied to Kenyans. They are weighty issues. Mheshimiwa here has talked of something he calls state capture. I think that is of greater significance to me than whether something has been fulfilled within 100 days or not. Is it true that this government is engaged in state capture, and which in itself is an oxymoron? How can a government capture the state? One thought that the state and the government were synonymous, and we would want to interrogate that and hear a bit more about it.
And they were saying that they are coming to root out the tenets of state capture that were there initially. Again, the irony.
Well, there were tenets of state capture. It is true that President Uhuru Kenyatta would stand on rostrums and tell us that they are going to know that I am the president. And he would use that kind of opportunity to take away land from Kenyatta University, which has since been restored to the university. We hear that a significant portion of that land, which was ostensibly going to be given to squatters, was in fact going to a certain prominent family within the country. We don't know which family it was. We are aware that we saw people being harassed and being arrested left, right, and center by the DCI on matters of trumped up charges. We saw that the Revenue Authority was being used to abuse individuals' rights, freedom of association. And we are aware that there used to be something called Mwosho Mmoja. You went to Capitol Hill, having been suspected of certain sins of omission and commission, and certainly you became as clean as cotton grade 1 cotton, as clean as white as snow. And if you perchance changed your mind and went into different space, there has been all that. So going into the future, we are going to have to discuss national issues, having recovered from the bitterness of election loss and defeat. You know, when you have the sitting president, you have the deep state, you have the dark state, you have the public funds.
If they're there.
You have the so-called super CSS.
And you lose.
You start thinking that you are going to win, and it's the only thing that you prepare for. And so when citizens, like I kept telling Mheshimiwa here, decide differently, and they must show us really if you are the government and you have been standing on rostrums, and some of the people there have been saying kuna vile kweli mlisema tuliwaibia na kuna kaukweli kengine hapo and we can do it again, then you lose the election. You come out, you start saying the other fellows have stolen.
How are Philip Kisia, indeed at the core of all these paradoxes are the question of the election's integrity?
I've listened to Barack, but I will not allow that to slip. I will remind him once again, management, you know, when you're setting goals and objectives, they must be smart, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. So when my elder brother tells me that, our lovely government, he seems to be suggesting that they didn't know what they were doing by setting the 11-point goal objectives. It's 11. They stated publicly. This is not, we are not making it up.
And they have fulfilled. Now I will exercise my right.
No, then if the show was just for Barack, then allow us to walk out.
Can we allow him
let them walk out?
Perhaps
no. Let me say this.
You must allocate time recognizing that it's
I am here in my personal capacity.
One.
I am here in my personal capacity.
Is it in order? Is it in order? Philip,
Kwanza or Azimio.
Philip,
Yes.
with your permission.
I am saying.
With your permission,
yes,
can we allow him to say something small in relation to that, and then you respond in totality as we sum it up?
I thought.
Yes.
Let him go.
Proceed.
No.
Proceed.
Let him go.
I was just.
With his blessings, proceed.
Okay, thank you.
My director is asking whether we need a fire extinguisher. No. I don't think we need.
No, thank you.
All right.
You may need one.
It's about.
Center stage.
It's about you as a head of an institution sitting down and being very clear on what you want to do. And then you communicate that these are my intentions, and this is the resources I need, especially time.
Progressively, Philip.
So now that, let us,
this is
water under the bridge.
Yes.
And as I said, magic can happen. 100 days are not yet over. Let us allow that 100 days to lapse. Then we can start marking the score sheet. But let me say this. We are here. Barack is here. I'm here. Mheshimiwa is here. We're all Kenyans. We are supposed to assist the government of the day deliver in whatever way by being objective. I want to confirm here and now that any interrogations I make will be purely scientific, unbiased, and professional. Therefore, when I say that this particular item in management holds a lighter weight, this is a fact. It's a fact of management. When I say that this one has a higher weight, it's a fact of management. Our job here is to look at what was said, what has been done, and provide a scorecard. And there's nothing wrong.
Advance the debate.
Maybe after
advance the debate. No, you're going around.
We are talking about the 11 things.
Yes, talk about them.
Okay, I talked about them.
He did, and that's why I say progressively. What do we need to do? Because then we are here, we get to a different space.
And I talked about them.
Alinda.
I talked about them.
Barack.
I talked about them as a manager, not like any other person. I talked about.
So we ask progressively. So we are here. This is done.
And I said, I don't know. Maybe it's not listening.
We said wait for the 100 days to lapse.
I said there are things that have been achieved, and I gave a score.
Yes.
There are other things which hold a higher weight, which have not been achieved.
And we
is a
remain
fact of life.
People.
So
can we close this one for a second? Yes, allow us to close this one because then we remain positive that the government will perform and the opposition will be here
We are not
to...
moving. We are running on the same ground. We have heard he's a manager and we respect
I am.
that.
And that is in order, Barak. You are again taking us back to that. Allow us to close this debate. We can evidently see where it is as we are. Mheshimiwa, you brought us to the conversation of the amendment of the Constitution. Barak, you'd love to say something small about that before I loop in Honorable Jeremiah Kioni. It is
the bite on the pie 3 times before we say anything.
Allow him to go.
Okay. I mean, proceed. But make it brief.
Even if we make it brief.
But Linda, you must recognize that there are 2. And therefore, I should have.
What do you mean when you say that?
Twice the time.
This is the side of the government, and this is not the side of the government.
What do you mean? Here as
Azimio.
Yes.
No.
And you are speaking as?
They have allocated me that role, and I will take it.
Okay.
Yes, I will take it.
You are speaking here as
Fine.
Kenya Kwanza.
Yes, I will speak for Kenya Kwanza.
It's now clear.
It is.
We should have started from that very
beginning. It has taken so long for him to own up to that.
I knew I would have accorded you double time, because you did not declare it.
You know, Linda,
but, all right.
You did not attend my class.
Mheshimiwa.
And so I forgive you because I didn't see you in...
Can we save time? Can we save time? Can we save time? And do you allow for him to say something about the Constitution?
He can.
No, let him go.
Proceed, Dr. Barak. I think I call the shots, so please.
Okay. About the Constitution, it is not written in granite. It's not cast in steel. And I think that there was never disagreement that the Constitution could be revisited. I remember the 28th of November 2019 at the Bomas of Kenya, the then Deputy President of Kenya, William Ruto, standing up and saying it is fine, but I think you should have allowed space for more of us to also join the process and to speak and to make certain contributions. And a well choreographed crowd led by Jeremiah Kioni booing him. When earlier on Musalia Mudavadi had stood up and also attempted to say that we are following the wrong path, the same crowd led by Jeremiah Kioni and cheered on by Philip Kisia and others, they booed him. The issue here, and you have heard from Mheshimiwa Jeremiah Kioni, the Pope, saying...
he withdrew that. Okay.
No, he repeated. Okay. He brought it back.
Okay, all right, okay.
Yeah, he brought it back.
Right.
So,
I'm okay with the Pope.
Yeah.
It's way better than being a bishop. All right,
the Pope. And I use Pope because he's been pontificating. You have heard him saying that President William Ruto is using the same route. He isn't. I'm surprised that a legislator of note could actually say it is the same path. It isn't. President Uhuru Kenyatta purported to be leading a popular initiative. President William Ruto has taken the parliamentary path. And the government of the day can itself initiate measures of constitutional change. He has members of parliament. He can actually prepare agenda and place it before parliament through the correct parliamentary path, and they can debate it, provided it does not pretend to be a popular initiative, and that is what is being done in this context. They proposed that the executive should be expanded. I have not seen that being proposed anywhere, that we should have a prime minister and we should have 2 deputy presidents. I've not seen that being proposed.
That will tell you that Musalia Mudavadi is a shadow of that.
Well, they had Kalonzo Musyoka.
Are we also going to be given a minute? Or
allow us to take a short break?
No. These people
are two against one.
Against one.
Allow us to take a short break and then we come back. We get some 10 minutes more to speak to that.
Good.
All right.
You are watching TV 47, the home of untold stories.
Gentlemen, we have 10 minutes strictly. Barack Muluka, briefly to that, and then we loop in Honorable Jeremiah Kioni.
I think give them time so that they don't make
Your point is home.
Too much noise.
All right.
One word from a wise man is enough.
All right, one word from a wise man. What do you say?
No, it is, you listen to Barack, and I've been with him for a long time, but of course he has have a way of dealing with us.
And Barack is a typical journalist, close to almost running the show alone.
He has a way of taking all the time from us, and sometimes
I've just given him time and he's wasting it.
Proceed to the point, because we only have 10 minutes.
All the oxygen that is available in the room. But again, I didn't have a chance to say on that, the 100 days. I tell you, there may be 11 points that were listed, but they were impacting a whole field of issues. And when you talk about education, CBC was supposed to have been reviewed within 100 days. I don't know whether there is anything we are saying. There are 10,000 classrooms there that we constructed in secondary schools, but now the pupils are being told to remain in primary schools. So other than just failing to deliver on what they had promised, they have again confused all of us in many of the sectors that there before were functioning in one way or another, and we thought they were going to manage it better. And I mentioned about the issue of the CBC. It's really, you ask parents, they don't know whether they are taking their kids to the secondary schools next door or to primary schools there. We have issues on boarding schools, being scrapped, not being scrapped. We have issues of GMO food,
and be conscious
being
of time.
available.
Yeah.
And there's no way you can finish this in this morning.
Yeah.
And as I said, I would be happy to keep listening to Barack, because when you speak and he has no answer to what you are saying, he says you are Bitarusa. This is a new place we have in town.
Are you
when
not?
They have,
are you not?
No.
You're not.
No. By the way, we didn't lose as Jubilee. If you want me to give you that.
As Jubilee, as Azimio.
We had 10 years of delivery as Jubilee.
Yeah.
And our responsibility this year was to hand over power, which we handed over to the winner. Our preferred candidate was Lyra. He didn't win. So we handed over to William. And instead of them delivering, they are looking for what new terminologies to use on us. Because, and I can tell you,
Linda.
Hold it, Barack. You allowed for
just half a quarter minute.
No.
Just a quarter minute.
You accord him quarter minute.
No, I don't. I mean, he cannot behave.
It was my time which I donated to you.
So, all right, the Constitution.
You didn't have to. I wanted to say this.
Yes.
That other than the failure to deliver on what they have promised, there is evidence of mismanagement of activities that were being done there before. And when we have time, we will come and bring them.
And of course, the Auditor General.
On the issue of the Constitution, the amendments can continue. But let me tell you, what Kenya Kwanza was opposed to, and that is why they opposed the amendments that we had. It has nothing to do with the process or anything. It was the principle of equity. One man, one vote, one shilling. They have said all these other things, but they will avoid that one.
Okay.
We will oppose any constitutional amendment that is put on the table if it does not have that. It does not matter whether you are right on the process or wrong.
Okay.
What is important is the end product. And again,
and they will lose again.
Philip Kisia.
And they will lose.
No,
it was my.
You are not also
Dr.
being.
Barack. Yes.
One reader.
Yes.
You are not being fair in terms of.
What do you mean?
While we are here and we may be on the same side of Azimio with Kisia, I came as Kioni and he invited me, so I need my equal share.
But then again,
we have allowed him to speak more than all of us.
No.
But what he is doing is really not speaking. He's just insulting us using very many English language words.
I will take it from you. I'll take it from you.
He's gifted in that, and you must give him what is due to him. He is very good in.
Philip Kisia, the Constitution.
But I wanted to say the final thing on the Constitution.
Honorable Kioni, you have to.
All right, okay, all right. I give you.
Philip Kisia.
Let me very quickly say this, Linda.
Yeah.
you know, this constitution that we currently have, 2010, took us years to get it. Let us not think or even dream or imagine that one individual can drive change.
Yeah, there you go.
It must be people-driven. And there I agree with the courts, that this constitution does not belong to one individual. It's for all Kenyans. So just a word of caution. The other thing is that I can see that the Kenya Kwanza government is geared towards what most people want to say, reforming the electoral process. I hope the mistakes that were made in the past will not be repeated. We want an electoral team that will ensure that elections are free and fair. So those who get into office should not be puppets of the people who are in the government of the day. Now, just finally, you know, coalitions in this part of the world, in Kenya, for me, they are nothing. Whether it is Kenya Kwanza or Azimio, these are people who just come together for the purposes of what? Of winning an election and sharing the spoils. And I'm talking about both. You tell me ideologically what people in Azimio agree with.
Does it
there's Kalonzo on one side, there's Kalonzo on one side, he has a different ideology, there's my friend Raila on the other side, and so on and so forth. So I am hoping that one day that, you know, things will get better and we'll get to a space where coalitions mean something to the people of Kenya. Now, on the other side, Kenya Kwanza, it is even worse. Because it is one party. Let's just agree that it is UDA. The other parties have been swallowed, which is very dangerous for the democracy of this country. But having said that, I wish my senior brothers, Barak, Muluka, a happy Christmas.
Not before you tell, you know we have to close. Change impeachment law. Change impeachment law. The governors say this. One.
Which governor?
Of course, the governors generally. This in relation to Kawira Mwangaza's case. So what do you make of it? She goes home, she should not.
You see, I mean, I don't know what...
30 seconds,
one,
yes.
I think it is, if you look at it in terms of time, she has not been given time to do anything. But again, the question that I would be asking myself, does she really have capacity to manage a very important county like Meru for the next 5 years? But in terms of time, you can't judge her right now. The question that I would be asking, does this person really have capacity?
Dr.
So
Burak,
having said that, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, prosperous, good health, my brother, Mheshimiwa Kioni, and all Kenyans. We are one. At the end of the day, we are one.
Thank you. Dr. Barak.
Yeah,
Kawira?
first, I don't know
Briefly.
The complaints are against Mr. Mrs. Mwangaza or whether it is against Mwangaza herself. I really don't even know what the complaints are. I have read in the papers, watched on TV, and I've seen they say that, she despises them. There's nothing unconstitutional about
despising
somebody. There are very many people who are despised, and they have not gone out looking for someone to impeach. I think these are people who have just seen that the possibility of a gravy train in Meru may not be possible, and therefore they are clutching on straws. And I do hope that the Senate will do the dignified thing. It is a shame from Meru. Those who are watching, please tell your MCS to style up. It's very unfortunate.
Fair enough.
Otherwise, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. I look forward to meeting these two gentlemen again in the new year. And I hope that when we come back, they will attack.
Don't forget us when you get appointed.
The issues.
Don't forget us.
They will do what? Attack.
Believe you me.
Don't forget us when you get
appointed. Believe you me, you will be with me in paradise.
Don't forget us.
Dr. Barak Muluka, communication strategist, thank you so much for speaking to us, and Jubilee Secretary General.
I haven't said anything.
But my producer is on my case, as you can see. 30 seconds.
Yeah, that When we criticize, it's not because we are bitter, it's because we have a lot to pay. Yeah. When you win, it's good to be humble, avoid being arrogant. On Kawela Mwangaza, if you want to amend the laws, you don't amend them when you're in trouble, propose them earlier. If we want to amend the constitution or deal with the issues of IEBC, it is not when there are disagreements, because that way we will be very suspicious of what you are intending to do.
But you know very well the constitution.
Let me also say that we will have to address ourselves to the issues that give us the leaders that we have, including myself. There must be something that we need to fix in the constitution. Right. I am not saying Kawera has done anything wrong, but one of the things that is important is managing the people you are supposed to work with. If you cannot manage them, then there is nothing you are going to manage. Okay. And I think that's not just a problem in Meru. It is going to be, you see it manifesting itself in quite a number of areas. But it is the process that is giving us the kind of the leadership that we are offering. And it is not this time, but it is a problem that you can actually see happening the last almost 10 years now.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Honorable Jeremiah Kioni, Jubilee Secretary General. And lastly,
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you, Governance and Leadership expert, Honorable Philip Kisia, and the CS for Interior is, of course, holding a press conference in relation to state of security. That is during this festivity. So we cross direct there as we shift gears to a different conversation shortly.
And transport relating to road safety issues and enforcement of traffic laws, even as we usher in the festive season that includes Christmas and New Year festivities. This morning, I'm joined by my brother and colleague, the Honorable Kipchumba Murkomen, Cabinet Secretary for Roads and Transport. We are also here with some of our PSs. In particular, present today is the Principal Secretary for Interior and National Administration, Dr. Raymond Omolo. We also have with us the Principal Secretary for Roads, Engineer Joseph Mbugua. We also have the Principal Secretary for Transport, Mr. Mohamed Dagar. We have with us the Director General of the National Transport and Safety Authority, Mr. George Njau. We also have other senior officials from our two ministries, including the Regional Commissioner for Nairobi and other senior officers present from the two ministries. I'll proceed to make a few remarks. Thereafter, we will start first with the CS for Roads and Transport, the Honorable Murkomen, making a few remarks on road safety issues. Thereafter, I'll make a few remarks on enforcement of traffic laws and other enforcement matters during these celebrations. And thereafter, both myself and Minister Murkomen will take one or two questions, and we will finish before 9 o'clock. It is now my pleasure and privilege to invite the Honorable Kipchumba Murkomen, Cabinet Secretary for Roads and Transport, to make his remarks. Welcome, Minister.
Thank you very much, CS Professor Kindiki, for not only hosting us, but also for that introduction. We are here to demonstrate to the country that on the matter of road safety, like all other matters in this republic, we take a joint government approach. And joint government approach means that all government agencies responsible for delivery of services in any sector should be able to work together. And that's the reason why the Ministry of Roads and Transport and the Ministry of Interior are here together to demonstrate that we take responsibility collectively and we act collectively. My colleague, Cabinet Secretary Professor Kithure Kindiki, CS of Interior, Principal Secretary is present, members of the Fourth Estate who are here, ladies and gentlemen. As the holiday season begins, motorists will be traveling to various destinations to celebrate the festives with their families and friends. It is imperative for all road users to observe road traffic rules and reduce road carnage, which has in the past been rampant during this season. From the analysis of past reports, a high number of road carnage results from avoidable human factors, including driving under influence of alcohol, speeding, dangerous overtaking, fatigue, and ignoring traffic lights and signs, among others. And to demonstrate that very important fact, I actually want to read for you the statistics that will be shared with you together with this press statement. But just for Kenyans to appreciate, the statistics are very, very clear. When we tell people that accidents are avoidable, I want to read for you for the fatalities for this year, how it is distributed. For losing control, we lost 27 people. For overtaking improperly, 14 people died. And I'm saying only December. I'm not talking about the entire period. For failing to keep to near side to proper traffic lane, we lost 13 people, December. For excessive speed, we lost 12 people. For misjudging clearance, we lost 7 people. For crossing without consideration of junctions, 5 people. So all these, the so-called accidents, all of them, like we've said in our statement, would have been avoided. An analysis of NTSA shows 3% increase in road carnage as at 15th November this year, with fatalities standing 4,432 compared to 4,271 during the same period last year. This is the highest death toll the country has ever registered since independence. And again, to read for you just statistics that will be shared with you, is for you to just take consideration that we have lost 4,449 people. Actually, 4,449 as at December. That was November. What I read was November. And if you see the statistics, pedestrians who are crossing road are 1,595. You have drivers who are 403. And these are the ladies and gentlemen we depend on to protect the others, because these mistakes that would have been avoided is largely because of the drivers. You have passengers in vehicles, there are 793. You have motorcycle passengers, 411. But we have lost 1,190 motorcycle riders, 1,190. This is really very, very, very painful even to read, to see how we are losing people. We've lost actually 1 year, the number of people more than the ones we lost in the entire period of COVID, through accident. And this is very painful, just even to read as a government minister. The government has stepped up efforts to reduce this by adopting a multi-pronged strategy that entails public awareness and enforcement. We are working with citizens to promote personal responsibility by encouraging passengers in both private and public vehicles to speak out against reckless driving and other habits that endanger the lives of Kenyans. Indeed, we have said we are not helpless as Kenyans. Passengers should not act like they are helpless. You can do something. If you board a motor vehicle and the driver is drunk, you have a duty to either alight from that vehicle or to tell the owners of the motor vehicle to change the driver. If you are in a motor vehicle and in for 2-3 kilometers, the driver is committing traffic offenses, you have a right to either stop him jointly together as passengers and report him to the police or alight from the vehicle. We shouldn't feel like we're helpless because the statistics we've read show that 90% of the deaths and the accidents we have are as a result of direct human error. As we launch the 2022 December Festive Enforcement Initiative, we take cognizance of the following. A high number of road crashes occur at night due to poor visibility. In this regard, we urge motorists, especially those driving heavy commercial vehicles and public service vehicles operating at night, to implement measures that will enhance visibility. This includes proper positioning of signage like triangles, chevrons, and recta reflective. Additionally, motor vehicle owners must move with speed to remove stalled vehicles within 1 hour of an incident and ensure proper signs are placed at safe distance on the road to warn approaching motorists. I have instructed Kenya National Highways Authority, Kenya Urban Roads Authority, and Kenya Rural Roads Authority to heighten surveillance on our roads and ensure that all stalled vehicles are towed immediately, but not more than 1 hour, to enable smooth flow of traffic. I have further directed Kenya.
And yes, from that very important information, you will be getting more updates from our reporters as they work on a comprehensive and detailed story of the same. But we now shift gears to discuss matters family, and not just family, but the importance of family during the festivities. We all know this is the time that you come together and you say that, the extended family that you've not seen for the longest of time, even the nuclear family, those ones that have traveled abroad, then are traveling back home. So at least you can spend Christmas time together. It's the most beautiful feeling ever. Sometimes you say that people have matured, with so much that is happening, you really want to travel somewhere else. But even as you travel to a different destination, you always hope that you will travel along with a family. And we have a family here this morning, a family that just decided to abandon the children somewhere, but we're glad they are back. And I don't want to tell them this, but I will whisper that even my bosses were asking, where is that couple? Where did they go to? And yes, thank God they have graced the set this beautiful morning of the 20th of December on a festive season. This one, it is always a festive season for them. This one's because they're always together, I assume. They will tell us whether it is so or not. The Kimanis, how have you been?
Thanks, we've been fine.
Good
to see you. No, hatujapotea lakini as you can see we were keeping in touch.
Thank you. We were keeping in touch. Hata karibu niulize daktari kwani aliwatch saa zile nimeanza asubuhi ndio akavaa.
In fact, I'm very worried. The two of you.
And it is so perfect color. Perfect color. It's not the first time, by the way.
It isn't.
But it's the flow of blood.
I think you are the sister.
Somehow, the
sister from another family.
I agree. I couldn't agree more. But we're happy to have you.
Thank
you.
Time.
Yes. I think
sometime.
Yes, sometime early this year.
Mpaka March hapo.
But we've also been following up. Tunajua mnapumua vizuri, mnamthrive vizuri, and you're doing well. So karibuni sana.
Asante.
It's good to have you.
Asante.
And of course, as we get to this very important conversation, allow us to take a quick break. Then we come to understand just how important family is, especially during this time of festivities.
TV 47, the home of untold stories. You are watching TV 47, the home of untold stories.
Dr. Julius Kimani as well as Dr. Jane Kimani as we get into this very important conversation. And perhaps the easiest way to do it, as though we are family, is to have this very important conversation. And Dr. we start with you, the essence of a family during the festivities and perhaps the essence of family all through.
You see, one thing I'll say, we all come from a family. Whether we are alone, you know, there are people we can call orphans. They have no parents.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, they started from a family. And so we cannot ignore the importance of a family. And family, I would say, it is one thing that gives us strength because we have something to run back to. That's why you find, even in most of the times when you're making our own introductions, we start with the name of our family. And there are people who actually, their strength, you find they get their strength by just saying where they're coming from. And therefore, in this season of festivities, the key thing is about family coming together. It is about the unity of a family. It is about restoring, you know, broken bridges, because sometimes people have been far away for a long time, and it is time to come back together and just review how everybody is doing. You know, sometimes it takes a lot of, you know, many people have gone to different places, and so Christmas is a season where people come back and you're just finding out how is everybody. Physically, you meet, because our our phones have made it so easy to meet far, from far. But now you are seeing that person you haven't seen in 1 year, in 2 years. So it is so important just to look at this time and place a very, very high value on it. Yes.
Yes, to count the times, to count the blessings, to look at the milestones as family, just how important.
I think it's important to look back and appreciate people while they're still alive and appreciate the journey, because, you know, every season, talking of the end of the year, it means there's been a whole journey and everybody has gone through their journey.
Yeah.
And so looking at the journeys, it's important to have time to appreciate God together, appreciate each other, and celebrate the victories together. So those should be seasons of celebrating victories together. Battles won, journeys traveled, journey to za maisha. Perhaps a child has done class 8, is joining Form 1, it's a new milestone. Somebody has joined university. So they need the family, because for us as African, our families are very core. They are very core essence of our being. We cannot subtract ourselves from the essence of the family. And so for most families, I won't say all, but for most families, that is a pillar. And when and if that family is a pillar, there is need for the family to be together.
Right. Are we losing this culture? Because I'll tell you, Dr. Back then, really, for us, it was a big deal. It was extended. It was by now, I would have received phone calls. Unachanga ngapi, tunanunua nini, tunafanya nini. I think it's just yesterday night that my mom asked, so kuna mchoro gani for Christmas? You know, casually.
True.
Casually, as though, kama una form, unaweza pitia hapa home and everything. Have we lost that culture of embracing family in these very times, somehow? Or is it ebbing away with time?
I would say yes. And at the same time, I would say no. A bigger yes, a smaller no. There are people who are still maintaining that unity of a family. But if you look around, a lot of people have ignored that aspect of coming back together. And I would say it is all about the new generation. You find our parents had an ability of bringing people back together. They want to call their sons, they want to call their daughters, they want to call each other. Even they reach out, they would walk. I look, for example, at our family, let's say like on our mom's side.
Yeah.
They would look for each other. The sisters would look for each other and they're like, let us bring our kids together. But with the new generation, you find people are becoming more and more independent.
Yeah.
You want to do your own thing. Actually, friendship with other people is more key than actually family, which is a scary thing, because when you go through issues, the first person we usually think of is my brother, my sister, my mom, my dad. And when we lose that, then we have lost a very important part. And so, yes, we are losing that cohesiveness that has always been in the family, and we need to revive that back because our future generations need to know where they've come from. We are getting people who are meeting during Christmas, and by the time they are coming together for festivities, you find maybe a young man is bringing the girlfriend home. And they shock the parents because they are like, this is your cousin, this is your relative, simply because there has not been that unity or connectivity with other family members, cousins, aunties, uncles, and all that. So I think there is a big part of it, especially in the cities, where that essence has been lost.
Do we need to redefine what family is? Dr. says a very important thing, that sometimes we find comfort in hanging around with friends and not family. And so maybe these friends then become family. So should we start by defining just what family is?
Yeah, you know, at times I will totally accept. There are people who will be closer than who you call family. And it also depends on, is this your birth family? Or is it your adopted family? Or is it the family that you're married to? Because there are three. You could be adopted into a family and you don't flow. You could be married into a family that didn't accept you, and with time you feel like I have got better friends than them a million times. So I would rather spend time with people who appreciate me. But you find the fabric of the bad family. The problem that happens is at times there is a lot of unforgiveness and bitterness among families, by the way. And that's what is breaking the fabric. And a lot of families are lacking the mothers who bring people together. Because that's not the work of fathers, it's the work of mothers. And you find we've got a generation of mothers also who have got their favorites. And they've been their favorites through the year. So Christmas, why do you need me? Just for the image? And that's the question a lot of people are having. Is it for the image? Because we are having a people who are defined by how much money does this one give me? Ulinijengea nyumba, ulinifanyia nini? This son has been at home with his children. And they forget that that one who has been around you in the village is one who ensures that your cows are healthy. The one who is a doctor in the city only sends money, and money cannot do everything. So everybody has their essence. So I believe either it should be a time of healing for families, or you find people finding more comfort with friends who accept them rather than families who despise them.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, interesting. And you speak of technology to a large extent, and really when you communicate and you look at the expenses and the difficulties that come along with life, you see no essence of having to travel from abroad all the way home just because you want to spend time with family. And sometimes we ask ourselves, what are the timelines of the festivities when we're talking about family? Is this one day of the New Year's, or is it this one day of the 25th of December when we celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ, or just the entire season? Because initially we could almost do the entire seasons. Today is that one day you wake up, you come home, mnapika ile mnapika jioni, you're driving back to your destination.
I think one thing also, our economic lives or situations have made it harder for people to have those serious festivities as they used to do. We realize, in fact, I was talking to somebody yesterday from UK, and they were saying life is really hard there. And so maybe that person is being expected to come back to Kenya. And the financial expectation of that person is very high. And they also want to present. They are afraid to come, but when they come, they want to present that they are doing well. You know, everybody who goes, for example, abroad, or even somebody who is in the city now, would be expected by the time they land up country that they are the ones who are financing almost everything. And so it has become a scary thing for some people to go actually up country. So that one day, that's why you're finding people are just landing, for example, on 25th, they hang around, they eat together, because if they spend more than 2 or 3 days, their finances will be almost zero. So I think we need to relook at the whole issue and work on relationships more than the money aspect. Because when you are valid, as you were saying, there are people who, when they are going up country, the one parent will celebrate the one who has money, and the other one who lives around there is actually not celebrating. He's not being sent around. Naambiwa wewe enda uoshe gari ya ndugu yako, ebu enda utoe vitu kwa boot. So, and that person eventually steps into an area after the festivities where they actually depress the whole year because they realize that they were not the most important people in that time. So I would say these festivities or the season should actually be geared towards working on building better personal relationship rather than looking at just the finances only.
Okay.
It is unfortunate it may not be so, but I wish everybody would begin to look at how are you, my brother, minus the money aspect.
And are we just trying to find excuses? And true, the economic times are tough. But I'd want to assume even in those days, in that space, defined in that context, the economic times were as well as difficult. But people could plan. And you know, from this December, you know very well that the next December is coming, and then by then you have decided we'll be going to so-and-so's, we'll be contributing this amount of money, such that things were so easy. So are we just trying to hide ourselves in excuses?
Let me say something, Linda. It is true. In every generation, it has had its hardships. And in every hardship is about planning, because people go for a holiday, not because you have extra money, but because you save for it. And so this also being a holiday, the essence remains the same. However, two things detoured this. Number one, the social media. You talk to your mom or your dad or your brothers, you're in the same WhatsApp group, you have everything happening, you're up to date. Some while back, while that was not with us, we wanted to go and catch up. But now you catch up, you've seen the latest photos, we are together yet afar. So being a good thing, it has also played its own role in physically separating people because they feel like they have an emotional connection. Number two, people go home, even children, you know, your son one day will come back to you. After campus or when they go to campus, they come home to memories. They come home to memories. The question is, how much have the parents invested in creating memories for their children? We have a generation that's so busy. They wake up very early, they go to work, they go for business, home very late. Most children have known their nannies to have taken care of them. Actually, their memories are with their nannies. There was no memory trace, really, apart from once or twice. With the parents, they were absentee parents, they were after the money. And they thought, we need the money to bring you up better than you were brought up. And when the time comes when they need these children back, they realize the children don't have any connection. Why? Because they didn't give them the memories. And again, I repeat, children will always come back home to memories. There is no memory. And at times, some of them will even be sad that the house help left, so-and-so alinilea vizuri. They even want to go past by her home and say hi, because that's the lounge of their memory. So I believe it's not too late, and especially for the younger parents who are listening, let them create memories. Because right now, Linda, apart from our parents, we're having people who are parents now, our generation and slightly older, who have clearly not been, and even younger, your generation, who have not been there for their children. They just had to reprimand to Cain, like the father is known, all the wrongs you've done, daddy is coming. But have they gone out? Have they had time together? Have they laughed together? Have they done this together? Have you listened to me? Have I listened to you? Those are the memories that will bring me from US, from Russia, any corner of the world. That's what pulls and attracts people.
And you know, I don't want to say that I am a terrible parent, but it's just the other day that I was talking to a friend of mine and telling them, you know what, I weep for my little boy because he does not have the moments that I did in terms of going to church for the Christmas carols. Perhaps he does not know much about Christmas carols because maybe it is not taught so much. He was telling me the other day, in the other school, we used to be taught Christmas carols, but on this one, or in this one, we have not been taught any. And I thought, Oh my goodness. My parents were doing that. We literally could sing down, you know, with a golden bell, sit down and, you know,
yes,
sing the Christmas carols.
Yeah.
So just what is stopping us from doing this? Because even beyond the money, sometimes you really have time to be home, but you barely do some of these things.
I think it is, as Linda, what you're saying, it is lack of deliberate and intentional in doing that. You know, everything, like you came here, you had a clear intention, I'm going to work. Now, when it comes to Christmas season, people have to be intentional. They have to, you're the one to rekindle those memories and decide that what I used to see my parents do, it can be redone. Now, I remember like when growing up, I think 6 years, we would, in those eras, I think after the Moi era came in, they stopped that because there were some insecurities. But guys would wake up in the morning, I mean in the evening, at exactly 7, people would begin moving from one home, say from a church, and they would begin to moving to every home up country, and they would go singing carols. They come to the gate, they're not asking for anything, they just stand over there, you join them, they do a song, if you feel like following the procession, and it would go on all the way past midnight. And it was such a warm thing. So those were people who sacrificed time. We are looking at ourselves today. I think we have become more selfish.
But do you think those memories really matter today? That a Christmas tree at home really matters today? That Christmas carols around?
By the way, Linda, those things matter. Do you know, like when I saw these things being put over here, I was like, this looks nice.
Yes.
That Christmas tree, for example, no matter, even if it's very small, it still brings back an aspect of this is a different season. And I think, you know, again, I think there's some things that have become common. You know, chapati nowadays, it would be made once in probably in a year.
Yes.
So Christmas was a season where chapatis would smell everywhere. And so it signified a different season. We need to find out and become more creative as families what can make that difference. And I'm not saying that it is dead. There are people who are going to make this season, Christmas season, to be something else.
You know, Dr. Jen speaks and it makes me feel like she's a CCTV somewhere in my house. You know? Like she really speaks to my situation as though, yes, she sees how when my little boy runs to the nanny when she's been out just for one day, you know, over the weekend, and the excitement and everything. And sometimes I ask myself, in fact, there's a time I was like, what is wrong with you? I am here, she's here, and you are running to her instead of running to me. But then again, it makes sense. This is how small my Christmas tree is today. But then again, my memories of how we used to go with my dad and cut that Christmas, it's a cypress. I mean, and then you put, you know, all these decorations, sometimes fruit and everything are still fresh. Is it a little bit too low to go to this level?
No, at least you have...
Let me speak for myself, my people.
No, at least you have something. At least you have something.
But the beauty was in the decoration aspect.
And not only in the decoration, in the unity while decorating.
Okay, yes.
It was in the unity while decorating, because you could buy a decorated Christmas tree.
You're blowing the balloons.
But the beauty was you're contributing something. It was the center of the family creativity. Your creativity was the balloons. Somebody else is working on ribbons. Somebody else is working on empty packages of gifts and this and the other. So it was like a picture of this is our joy, our creativity, and us. So what you need to do now is go and strip it off and begin to decorate it with your son. Yeah, because at the end of the day, he also needs to feel a part to what you have placed there. It shouldn't look like something ready-made. It has to be, yes, there, but by the lightings, let him know, let the two of you, there is a moment of bonding.
Right.
That was a season of bonding. The fact that you still remember you'd go with your dad to get the cypress plant, come and hang the fruits, do this, is because you bonded, it created a memory. So if you just buy and place it there, has it brought a bonding? Has it created a memory?
Maybe not.
Yeah, so now you reverse your work and go now, bring the balloon, go with him and shop. Actually, it's about time, Linda. It's about creating time for this young one. So that at least he can feel, I need to do this. I've seen Christmas trees on movies. Mommy, let's buy this. Mommy, let's buy this. Let's do this. And you come and do it together. Plus the nanny, because the nanny is equally important to him.
Very important. Very.
And that's a red flag.
Okay.
It's very important to him.
Yeah.
So as the three of you blow the balloons, that will now hit a memory.
Okay, that's interesting. So these are the traditions of family that we speak of that we have lost over time, and many more?
Those are some of the things. Coming together to prepare. You know, being sent to the shopping to go buy this and that created a lot of being sent to invite so and so. You know, nowadays our invite is somebody can sit down and send one blank message. I mean, one message to like 1,000 people. Yeah. But before you'd be sent out and told, go tell your aunt on this particular day we're inviting them home.
Yeah.
And go tell so and so to prepare for us maybe 2-3 kgs of meat. Do this. And those sending, everybody was somehow involved. And I think it is not hard. In fact, Christmas is not about amount of money. It is about just creating moments together, doing some things that you've not done before. Like sometimes what we do in our place on Christmas Day, it is not the expense. But waking up in the morning and just knowing everybody is involved in making breakfast. That makes it special.
Right.
I also want to challenge that I think churches, they also need to revive.
I agree.
Revive.
I agree.
Yeah.
I remember on 24th
yes.
evening.
The Keshas.
So I know guys would go to church in the evening. You know it will be, there's nothing to eat in that
fact, those are the only times we were allowed out at night.
Late night.
Yes.
The
only times. 365 days.
True. I think the services were such elaborate.
Yeah.
The carols were done. I mean, there would be numbers. You know, people have prepared. Like growing up in the Catholic Church, we would start preparing. I was in the choir. We would begin preparing Christmas carols in October. Then on 24th, it is the singing of the Christmas carols. Right. People would feel like they have been fed with songs. After that, you know, everybody's just outside there with their candles and everything, talking about what they'll do tomorrow. Actually, 25th was it was a mellow, yes. But 24th was a big thing. So I think we also need to take, and it is the responsibility of the church, to take this step and make that day, especially the eve of Christmas, much more elaborate, so that we don't lose out on the essence of Christ.
All right.
Yes.
You know, we've lost it even on the question of food, and I'm sorry I'm mentioning food, but it's a reality. Today, the amount of food, the foods that we make at home is totally different. Perhaps it's you know, today let's go easy on chapati, or let's just do chapati and overlook the rice. Just how important was that aspect when, you know, everything and anything was placed on the table and everyone was busy preparing these foods. Mtu mwingine anachagua ndengu huko, mwingine anakata cabbage, mwingine anapika chapati. The mornings were crazy.
And it was a synergy. It was a synergy. It was a joy in unity. It was a memory of unity. It was the power of what you can do best, being appreciated by everybody. There was somebody who was good at pilau, and everybody would appreciate their pilau. Perhaps have not been appreciated the whole year. Yeah. There's somebody who was just good with their chicken. Wengine ni mbuzi. So it was the power, it was a combined effort. And I believe food on itself is a love language. Especially when demonstrated the right way and when effort has been put into it.
Yeah.
Because you can go into the fridge and warm, you put it in the microwave and feed people. No. But when it has been given time, you know, there is food that comes from the heart and there is food that comes from the hands.
Yeah.
And that time food and the cooking would come from the heart. I would see my mom going to buy unga, shavashi. Oh my goodness. And that was not like any other.
Yeah.
It was like
it
not any other
all.
packet.
Yeah.
No. We've never seen like, and it is the same. But you see the love, the energy, the excitement put into it. And I believe there is something we can still do with our families today. They may say yes, they've eaten all these things. But right now, put them together. Tell them, bring your best. Cook your best. Begin to work on your best. And as Daktari was saying, when it comes to churches, like for us, what we do, they'll always look forward to my cake. I bake for everybody.
Oh,
I
nice.
bring a big cake, yeah.
Oh.
This year he's baking.
I'm
baking
for the church.
Yeah. And we do a lot of cakes.
Yeah.
And so it's like there are people will come with the eggs home. There's somebody who will say, I need to buy the unga. Whether they do it or not, we'll still bring it is the essence of enjoying something together on 24th. So I believe there's still something that can taste different based on the love and based on the season.
Okay, maybe it was easy back then, and before we even come to the aspect of how we strike a balance, you know, with friendship with the people you've met along the way, with the families that you formed on the other side. Maybe it was much easy back then because perhaps you realized that maybe you were married here and your home is just the other side.
Yeah.
And so it is easy to just keep that connection. But today, we are married worlds apart. And sometimes family, you know, fall on this very point. Because then Dr. Jane says, we have to be at my homes, you know, this time around. You say, no, you don't like my mother. We have to be on the other side. How do we strike a balance as to that?
I think some of those traditions are the ones that are also making it hard for some people to even enjoy the Christmas season. Because probably the man, as you've said, he has said we are spending in our place. And for the last 3-4 years, it's been so. And the woman is feeling, we've never gone to our place. And so every time they go to the man's place, this woman is actually feeling, I'm actually oppressed. And so there is no joy in her. And I usually say the woman is is it the thermostat or the thermometer? Thermostat. The thermostat, it keeps the environment either very hot or very cold. Now, so when you have a grumpy woman who has gone for Christmas to a place that she doesn't like anymore, it creates a coldness even to the man, to the children, because she's not there enjoying. Or the vice versa. Maybe the man has been going to the woman's place or the wife's place throughout. And so he goes there. Of course, most men are not as grumpy. They don't have emotional things. But it can reach a place where you have tensions. Or probably there are disagreements between two of you or even with other family members. And that brings a very hard moment. And that's why we say we need to have some serious agreements on that. If you have to go to visit a place, whether you have decided that you're going to visit this side of the family and it has been so, then make sure that, especially because of the children, that the memories remain right.
All right.
That nobody, you know, one way I think nowadays we are too liberal, that maybe as Dr. Julius, I will say I'm not happy with this, and I can even throw a tantrum on that particular day, and people can all see. But before you'd find, if it is the men or the women, there is this thing of self-control. You'd not know anything wrong that is happening.
Right.
But now you can actually tell it. So we have to reach a place also as individuals, because of the memory and also because of respecting the season. If sincerely it has come that you have to visit on the other side, then choose in your heart to have the right attitude. And that will make a difference. And also, if you have to do anything, you know, these are times where you do a lot of sacrifice. I can imagine traveling from here to coast 5 hours, and you're traveling a journey that you don't want to take, and you have the wrong attitude. It will make that moment to be awful.
Right.
So remember the children, because today when I think about Christmas, many years growing up, I don't even remember my aunts, my uncles. I remember the way we were just hanging around there, not about even much of the food, but the play. Definitely. So if you can create those memories and ignore some of the things and have the right attitude.
Attitude, perhaps our take home. But even still, Daktari, to you, as we think of how to strike a balance, what will be your take home?
My take home is one, when the parents know they need you there, and especially I'm talking to the in-law parents, let them be genuine, because a lot of the reasons why you find the people married into that family will not want to go is because they've been treated wrong the whole year.
Right.
And it will be so evident that you're a stranger in this family. And it brings more problems, because after that, when you talk perhaps to your wife, it could be the wife's family, or to your husband, if it is to your husband's family, they will cover them up. They do not know. So I believe the first thing that needs to be there is to sort out issues. Don't cover them up, especially for women. They're not good with cover-ups. Yeah. And if they say this thing, I've been having a wound because of this, I don't like the way they treat me, listen and do something about it. Then your attitude will be absolutely very right. Because at times, watu wengine, they martyr themselves. I need to go there, but I feel like I'm dying. Because this woman will look at me with these eyes, and there are things she told me. Talking of forgiveness, very important. But I keep saying this, especially for the mothers who are in-laws, they need to create an environment that condones even the children married into that family equally. And they should stop cold wars.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, time is not on our side. We're being told to step out of this space, but I think we have something to take home, and we have reason to appreciate and celebrate family. Keep the traditions. You know, it will not cost much for you to do that and to create, you know, lifetime memories, as the doctors would tell us. Dr. Jane Kimani, thank you so much for speaking to us this morning, as well as Dr. Julius Kimani. Asante sana. This is a season to be together. Please make time for your family. We close this one. We get to see you again tomorrow. Thank you.
This is TV 47. Happy holidays.